Are you afraid?
It was 2 a.m., and the hospital was a tomb. That's how it always felt on the graveyard shift in Ward C, the long-term care wing. The air conditioning hummed, a low, constant drone, and the only other sounds were the occasional distant beeps of monitors from the ICU floors below, or the rustle of my own scrubs as I walked the silent halls. I preferred it that way, honestly. Most nurses hated the quiet, the isolation. But for me, after a day full of family drama and demanding patients, the stillness of the night shift was a strange kind of peace, a chance to reset, to think, to just be. Ward C was particularly quiet. Most of the patients were elderly, many of them sleeping through the night with the help of medication. There were only 4 of us on staff for the whole wing, 2 nurses and 2 CNAs. One nurse usually covered the far end, leaving me with the main stretch of rooms. My duties were mostly routine: check vitals, administer scheduled meds, turn bedbound patients, and chart. Easy work when everyone was asleep. It gave me plenty of time for my rounds, which often meant just walking the corridors, listening, watching. That's when I first saw him. It was around 3 a.m. during my second round. I was passing room 114, a room that had been empty for weeks after its last occupant. An old woman named Mrs. Henderson had passed away peacefully in her sleep. The door to 114 was slightly ajar, just a few inches. Not enough to see clearly inside, but enough to notice that it wasn't completely shut, which was odd. We always kept empty rooms closed and locked. As I got closer, I saw a figure standing perfectly still in the dark opening of the doorway. Tall, gaunt, in a faded hospital gown. My first thought was a new admission, wandering. But admissions always came through the main desk, and I'd know about a new patient in my section. I called out softly, "Excuse me, sir, are you all right? Can I help you back to your room?" The figure didn't move, didn't respond. It was almost perfectly still, like a photograph. My heart started to beat a little faster. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the call button on my radio. No, don't be silly, I told myself. It's probably just Mr. Davies, who sometimes sleepwalks. He wears a similar gown. But Mr. Davies was in room 108. I took another step closer, my hand reaching for the light switch inside the room. As I moved, the faint light from the corridor caught his face just enough. And that's when I saw his eyes. Not just dark, but utterly vacant. Deep, sunken hollows that seemed to absorb what little light there was, like black holes in his skull. Bottomless, devoid of any discernible pupil or iris, blending into the surrounding shadows. They were not eyes. I froze. Every alarm bell in my body screamed. This wasn't Mr. Davies. This wasn't a patient. I didn't know what it was. But it was wrong. Horribly wrong. I backed away slowly, never taking my eyes off the figure, until I reached the nurse's station, my heart hammering against my ribs. From the safety of the desk, I peered down the corridor. Room 114 was now closed, completely shut. I rubbed my eyes, wondering if I was just tired, hallucinating. It had to be that. Sleep deprivation does weird things to you. I made myself a fresh cup of coffee, the strong, bitter smell doing little to calm my nerves. I told myself it was nothing, just a trick of the light, an overactive imagination. I focused on charting, on the mundane tasks, trying to push the image from my mind. But every time I walked past room 114 for the rest of the shift, I hurried. I didn't glance at the door, didn't let my eyes linger. I felt a cold knot in my stomach. The next night, I felt a new kind of dread as I clocked in. The ward felt heavier, the silence more oppressive. I purposefully avoided room 114 during my first rounds, telling myself I was being ridiculous. But there it was again, around 3 a.m., as if on cue. The door to room 114 slightly ajar. My blood ran cold. This time, I didn't even try to rationalize it. I knew what I had seen. I didn't call out. I didn't move closer. I just stood there, breathing shallowly, watching. The figure was there, in the darkness of the doorway. Gaunt, silent. And the hollows of its eyes seemed to be looking directly at me, even though there was no light for them to reflect. I backed away. This time faster. Almost a run. I fumbled for my radio, heart pounding, ready to call security, ready to scream for my colleague. But what would I say? There's a shadow man in room 114 with empty eye sockets. I ended up calling the main desk, claiming I heard a strange noise from an empty room and asking if security could do a quick sweep. They did, of course. Found nothing. The door to 114 was closed, locked. I didn't sleep well for weeks after that. Every night, before my shift, I'd dread the approaching 3 a.m. I never saw the figure fully emerge from the room, only ever in the doorway, always still, always those empty, lightless voids where its eyes should be. I eventually asked for a transfer to a different ward, citing better hours and career growth. They didn't question it. I never told anyone what I saw. How could I? But even now, years later, I avoid hospitals at night. And I never, ever leave a door to an empty room ajar. Not even in my own home. Because some things, once seen, can never truly be unseen.